Most riders think the price on the window sticker is what a new motorcycle costs. It is not even close. Every year, many first-time buyers walk into a dealership, see that $8,599 manufacturer's suggested retail price, feel relief, and then watch the number quietly climb past $10,000 before they even touch the handlebars. If you don't understand what's actually happening to your money at that dealership, you will pay the most expensive tax in motorcycling and call it a good deal. In this video, you'll see exactly how the math works and why riders who know better approach it very differently. I've watched this pattern play out over and over. A rider buys new, proud of himself, talking about the warranty and the fresh tires and the 0 miles. 18 months later, he is trying to sell it. He financed $10,800. He is asking $7,500. The bike has 4,200 miles on it. He still owes more than it's worth. He didn't lose money on the bike. He lost money the day he signed the paperwork. That's the trap. It's not about the motorcycle, it's about the financial structure around it. Here's exactly what's happening and what you need to know before you spend $1. Let's start with 3 bikes that every middleweight rider in America knows. The 2026 Yamaha MT-07, MSRP, $8,599. The 2026 Kawasaki Z650 S ABS, MSRP, $7,699. The 2026 Honda CB500 Hornet, MSRP, $5,899. Those numbers look reasonable. Some of them look genuinely affordable. That is entirely by design, because none of those numbers are what you will actually pay. Take the MT-07. Before you leave the lot, Yamaha adds a $675 destination charge. That's part of the official listed pricing. It appears on every dealer's paperwork before taxes, registration, or dealer fees even enter the picture. So you are already at $9,274 before the dealer has touched a pin. Then comes the dealer setup fee, call it PDI, pre-delivery inspection, whatever they name it. Then the documentation fee, then state sales tax, then title, then registration. By the time you are signing the actual purchase agreement, that $8,599 bike can realistically push toward the low to mid $10,000 range out the door, and sometimes higher, depending on your state and how the dealer structures fees. Ultimate Motorcycling ran this exact math on a bike advertised at $12,499. After freight, setup, and documentation charges, before taxes and registration, it was already close to $14,000. That is not automatically a scam, but it is how many motorcycle deals move from MSRP to out-the-door pricing. So when you see an MSRP, any MSRP, treat it as a starting point. Many buyers end up paying meaningfully more, sometimes 15% above the combined MSRP, and destination charge once taxes and dealer fees are applied depending on your state. The sticker price is the number that gets you into the dealership. The out-the-door price is the number that empties your wallet. Riders who know this do not lead with MSRP when comparing new versus used. They lead with out-the-door cost, and that changes the entire conversation. Here is something that does not show up on any window sticker. When a new motorcycle leaves the dealership, it starts losing value immediately. The Harley-Davidson Insurance depreciation model maps it out clearly. A new bike loses roughly 5% of its value in the first 6 months, then reaches about 15% depreciation by the end of year 1. By year 2, it is down about 20%. By year 3, you are looking at around 30% gone from the original purchase price. Now understand what that means in real money on a bike you financed at $10,500. At 15%, you have lost $1,575. At 20%, you have lost $2,100. At 30%, you have lost $3,150. That is not depreciation in some abstract sense. That depreciation can become the gap between what the bike is worth and what you still owe, especially if you financed with little or no money down. That gap is what traps riders when they try to sell, trade, or get totaled, and find out their insurance payout does not cover their loan balance. And the biggest hit tends to come early in the ownership curve, through the first couple of years. The first owner does not just pay for the bike, he pays for the steepest part of the curve. The second owner, the person who buys that same MT-07 with 6,000 miles and 2 years on it, steps in after that financial damage has already happened. They buy below that curve. The first owner absorbed it, so the second owner does not have to. Look at what the U.S. market showed at the time of this research. Motorcycles on AutoTrader listed Yamaha MT-07 examples from around $6,250 on the low end to about $7,947 on average. CycleTrader showed a 2023 MT-07 in Florida with under 5,000 miles listed at $6,997. Compare that to a new MT-07 at $8,599 MSRP plus $675 destination charge, $9,274 before tax, fees, and title. That gap between the used price and the new out-the-door cost is not just depreciation. It includes destination charges, setup fees, documentation fees, and state taxes that the first buyer absorbed. A used buyer in a private sale often avoids the new bike-specific costs, though depending on the transaction, you may still pay tax, title, and registration. The Z650 tells the same story. New. The Z650 S ABS starts at $7,699 plus $685 destination charge. At the time of research, used 2,023 examples appeared on CycleTrader around $5,695 to $6,499, with one listing under $5,000. The CB500 platform is even more pronounced. Used CB500F listings in the research snapshot ranged from the mid $3,000 range to around $6,000, with an average near $5,079. A 2023 CB500F example appeared in the mid $4,000 range. The SV650 follows the same pattern. It has a long-running reputation as a simple, durable, used middleweight, and clean examples with normal mileage regularly appear well below the out-the-door cost of a comparable new bike. These are not distressed bikes with problems. These are clean examples with normal mileage that are priced thousands below what a new buyer pays, because the first owner already paid the new bike tax and the used market has moved on. Many new bike purchases in America are financed. That's not a judgment. It's just the reality of how dealerships work. And when you finance, the cost of the motorcycle goes up again, invisibly. Here's a simple comparison. New bike. You finance $10,500 at 7.24% annual percentage rate over 60 months. Your monthly payment is around $209. By the time the loan is paid off, you have paid roughly $2,046 in interest alone on top of the purchase price. Used bike. You finance $7,500 at 7.74% annual percentage rate over 48 months. Payment drops to around $182 a month. Total interest paid, about $1,245. Used bike annual percentage rate can vary depending on lender, model year, loan term, credit profile, and amount financed. But because you are financing less money over fewer months, the total interest burned is still around $800 less in this comparison, and you are out of debt a year sooner. Navy Federal currently advertises motorcycle loans starting at 7.45% annual percentage rate. Some credit unions can do better, but annual percentage rate, term length, and the amount financed all drive the real cost. Experienced buyers look at the total amount burned over the full life of the loan, not just the monthly number. A lower monthly payment on a bigger loan, stretched over 72 months, can be a bad deal if it raises your total interest paid and keeps you upside down on a depreciating asset longer. The monthly payment is a sales tool. The total cost is the truth. Here's the one that surprises people the most. When you finance a motorcycle, you don't fully control your insurance decision anymore. The lender does. Progressive is clear on this. Comprehensive coverage is not legally required if you own the bike outright, but lenders typically require both comprehensive and collision coverage when the bike is financed. That's written into your loan agreement. What does that mean in practice? Comprehensive and collision on a new $10,500 motorcycle, especially for a younger or newer rider, can add meaningful cost to your monthly ownership picture. And that coverage requirement stays in place until the loan is paid off. A paid-off used bike changes the equation. If you own it outright, you can choose liability-only coverage if you want to, assuming you meet your state's minimum requirements. You make that call, not the lender. To be clear, used bikes are not automatically cheaper to insure. That depends on your record, your location, the bike, and the coverage you choose. But when you own the bike free and clear, you have options. A financed new bike gives the lender options. There's a difference. None of this means buying used blindly. The counter-argument to used bikes is always the same. You do not know how it was treated. That is a fair concern. The answer is not to avoid used bikes. The answer is to know what to look for. Here is a specific list of things that tell you almost everything about how a bike was owned. First, tires. Rubber ages out regardless of mileage. A bike with 4,000 miles and 5-year-old tires may need new rubber soon, especially if there is cracking, hardening, or a poor storage history. Check the DOT date code on the sidewall. Second, chain and sprockets. A neglected chain is one of the easiest maintenance tells in motorcycling. If the chain is rusty, stretched, or the sprocket teeth look hooked rather than square, the owner was not doing maintenance. If they skipped the chain, ask yourself what else they skipped. Third, fork seals. Look at the lower legs below the dust seals. Oil weeping or dried residue means a seal is going, though minor residue should be cleaned and rechecked before your final call. A leaking seal is typically a few $100s to fix at a shop. Price it in or walk. Fourth, service records. A 30,000-mile Japanese middleweight with documented oil changes and a valve check is not a scary bike. A 4,000-mile bike with no records, old tires, and a dead battery is. The odometer tells you how far the bike went. The maintenance records tell you how it was treated. Fifth, crash damage. Get down and look. Check the bar ends, the frame sliders if it has them, the foot peg mounts, the fairing corners if applicable. Even a slow tip over can leave marks. A low side at speed leaves marks that matter. Sixth, brake fluid and coolant condition. Dark brown brake fluid often suggests old or contaminated fluid and should be treated as a maintenance warning. Milky or rusty coolant is a problem. These are inexpensive to change, but they tell you the ownership story. Seventh, battery and charging system. A weak battery can be a relatively simple fix, but a failing stator or regulator rectifier is a much bigger issue. Start the bike cold and watch the voltmeter if the bike has one. Rev it to 3,000 RPM. A healthy charging system should show 13.5 to 14.5 volts DC at the battery terminals. If the seller will not let you do that, that is your answer. Eighth, hoses and general rubber condition. Cracked hoses, brittle brake lines, and deteriorating rubber are signs of age, heat exposure, poor storage, or long periods of sitting. A regularly ridden and maintained motorcycle is often in better shape than one that sat for years without proper storage prep. The bikes experienced riders tend to favor for used purchases aren't random. The Yamaha MT-07 and its Z650 predecessor have a large owner base in the US, strong parts availability, and a simple parallel twin that is easy to inspect and service. The Kawasaki Z650 and Ninja 650 share a proven 649 cubic centimeter twin family that has been in production since 2006 in various forms, from the original ER6 through the current Z650 and Ninja 650. The Suzuki SV650 has one of the strongest used reputations in American motorcycling. A simple V-twin, accessible parts, genuinely fun to ride, and holds up well at high mileage. The Honda CB500 platform has a strong reputation for durability and practical ownership and is available well below new pricing on the used market. These aren't compromise bikes. They're the bikes that people who understand motorcycles actually ride. This video isn't anti-new motorcycle. There are legitimate reasons to buy new. Warranty is real. A factory warranty covers manufacturing defects and gives genuine peace of mind, especially if you are not mechanically confident. That has value. Most factory warranties on these bikes run 12 months in the United States, so understand what you are getting before you sign. The latest technology is real. A 2026 bike may have updated anti-lock braking system mapping, traction control modes, a quick shifter, TFT display, or suspension improvements. The 2022 or 2023 model did not have. The 2026 MT-07, for example, received radially mounted front brake calipers, inverted 41mm forks, and new wheels. Real improvements. If that matters to you, that is a legitimate preference. Dealer relationship is real. A new bike gives you clean paperwork, first owner history, and an established relationship with the service department. But here is the honest counterweight to all three. Warranty covers defects. It doesn't cover depreciation, destination charges, dealer fees, tax, title, registration, interest, required insurance, tires, chains, brake pads, or the first scheduled service. For many everyday street riders, the technology gap between a 2-year-old bike and a brand new one may not matter as much as the price gap. And a clean used bike with records gives you nearly the same riding experience without making you the person who paid the new bike tax. The choice is not used versus new. The choice is informed versus uninformed. Here's the truth at the center of all of this. A motorcycle's manufacturer suggested retail price, also known as MSRP, is a marketing number. The out-the-door cost is a financial reality. Depreciation is real, and how fast and far it hits depends on model, mileage, condition, region, and demand. But the first owner absorbs the steepest part of that curve. Many riders will walk into a dealership this weekend, see that number on the window, feel the pull of 0 miles and showroom smell and a warranty card, and sign. They'll think they made a smart choice because the monthly payment felt manageable. You now know what that monthly payment doesn't show. The smartest riders don't avoid motorcycles. They avoid the most expensive part of the ownership curve. They let the first owner pay the new bike tax, wait 18 to 24 months, and buy a clean, inspected example of the same machine, often for thousands less, with more insurance flexibility and less financial exposure. The bike doesn't care who bought it first. Your wallet does. If this changed how you think about your next purchase, subscribe. We break down the real math of motorcycling every week.